Like this, you know what? I should turn on my microphone. Maybe you'll be able to hear me a little bit better. So welcome. Let me do it all over again. Welcome to the show. We're here for another heart-centered marketing, and we're going to be talking about resilience. We're going to be talking about really cool stuff. So I'm going to bring in my guest, amazing guest, Rebecca, and hopefully all the tech works. And if it doesn't, I'm going to have to set it up real quick because we didn't have a chance to set it up beforehand. So there we go. All right, Rebecca. All right, cool.
Hi.
Fashionably late. Thank you for being here. So I gotta call you out
I'm
right on,
so
right over
sorry.
the.
Anyway, I'm here. I'm
uh,
here. I'm here. I'm here. And see, that works. You can hear me.
you
Booyah!
you rock. You rock. Thank you for being here. I appreciate you. And yeah, so I'm just gonna just jump through some scenes here and make sure. I think everything's working. So we got it all working good. You're excited? It looks like you're excited do you need a little bit of a breather before we roll into this, or you just want to kind of
Let's
just
go. Let's rock and
just
roll.
run right through it, right? Okay, cool. Resilience. This is all about what it takes to run a successful business, and we're talking about, and you were chatting before about over and above the money making activities, right? Like the resilience you're saying, and I agree with you 100%, is by far the most important thing. So let's dive in. Let's just run with it, see where it goes.
Okay. So my whole theory, I've been working on this for, in spurts for years, but with real intention in the past, 3 or 4 months, doing a ton of research on what it really takes to be successful, to be profitable, to be wealthy, to be happy. And no matter where I turn, whether it's health or wellness or wealth, money, and all that kind of a thing, it all comes down to, if you do not have emotional resilience, you will fail. And hey, Lorna, good to see you again. And so the emotional resilience is something, and it's so interesting because I just got this book. I don't know if anyone likes to read
Yeah,
as much as I do. I
it's
love this
nice,
book.
right? It's a
And I
great
love
book.
it. Oh my God, smells great. But like one of the very first things it says here, and my old eyeballs are very old and very late, so
I
nothing
got it.
works.
I got you.
You got it? You got it? You're with me? Okay, good. Yeah, we'll grow old together, Joey. Grow old and gray. Okay.
Grow wise,
Um,
not old, wise.
right, right, and flexible. Okay, so I love this. The sentence is like, I fell in love with this book, and honestly, it's literally page 2. And it's, a genius who loses control of their emotions can be a financial disaster.
Mm-hmm.
Read it again slow. A genius. Now think about it. It could be a financial genius, an economic genius. It could be an engineering genius. It could be a marketing genius. Who loses control of their emotions can be a financial disaster. So all these people who are like, making all these millions and making all these claims and look at me and I'm so great, they can lose their stuff. I mean, this is another book that I just read, Speaking to Live in
I
Forever,
I
right?
don't know that one. Okay, that's cool.
No, it's a big one. I'm trying to get it in front of the camera the right way, right?
I'm
So it's
writing it down as
very
you
thick.
speak. Okay.
Outlive Peter Attia, no idea. Anyway, super smart guy. It's like the first 250 pages is science. And then clearly an editor got a hold of it and said, Peter, people need to know what to do with this information. So could you kind of lighten it up a bit? He's like, oh, yeah, sure, on it. And so then there was all these actionable things you could do. And on page 377, the very last chapter of this book, right before the epilogue, he comes in and basically, and it sounds totally different from the rest of the book because he's being real. Because at some point during COVID, he was pushing down his emotions and pushing down his emotions and pushing down his emotions, and then it blew. Right? So that's called emotional leakage. And it happens when we take what we're feeling and we're like denying it. We're just toughing it out, pushing through, nose to the grindstone, but you're not actually dealing with it. You're not
Mm,
actually acknowledging it. You're not actually processing it. And when you don't process your emotions, they stay with you and they
mm-hmm.
turn either into physical illness, so autoimmune diseases, they turn into gastrointestinal problems, like Crohn's, colitis, ulcers, all those kinds of things, lesions, and so on and so forth. But the worst part of it is it in an unexpected moment can tear your world apart. And he had
Yes.
to go into a rehab facility. He nearly lost his wife and children. He nearly lost his business because he did not take care of his emotional resilience and his emotional control. And
Wow.
so, what that says to me is everything in this book, and this is a brilliant book on how to live healthy longer, means nothing if you don't take care of your emotional well-being. I am on a mission, Joey. I have decided my mission for this next year, because I like missions for every 12 months, is going to be to bring in, to force certainly my clients and as many people as I can possibly influence to take stock of their emotional temperature in addition to the other work that they're doing, right? Or in most cases, not doing. Because if you're not doing the work you know you should be doing, there's a problem here.
Right on.
You're either feeling, you're not addressing your feelings, your thoughts are self sabotaging, and you have lack
Right.
of vision. So,
Right.
like, I've created a whole model around this new program I'm launching next year, and it is beliefs first,
Right.
actions second, habits third. And
Right.
anything that you have where you're unstuck, it will unstick you because you're
Yep.
like, okay, my marketing sucks. All right, what do you feel about your marketing? Well, like, I feel like everyone's better than me. I feel like, I feel really stupid. I feel really bad. I feel overwhelmed. Okay, now we're getting somewhere. We're giving our emotions names because that connects the thinking brain with the non-thinking emotion brain.
Yeah.
That's why people say, well, I know what I should do, but they're not. Why am I not doing it? Because you're not engaging your emotion brain, which is like whizzing around and controlling the day. Pull
Right.
that emotion brain under control and engage it with your thinking brain. And now the two work like clockwork. And that's the piece of the puzzle people are missing.
I love this,
There you go.
and I am with you with beliefs. Once I started
I know.
officially coaching, it was like over a decade ago. I realized that belief, and I'm glad you said it first, is the foundation of everything, no matter what. And no matter
Mm-hmm.
what comes down to belief, like everything about belief about you, the industry, your product, like I don't care
Everything.
what it is. You can give me any story you want, but it comes down to belief. And everything
Mm-hmm.
of not you not moving forward will start with that belief.
Mm-hmm.
And then once I realized that was the case, I'm I when I start coaching people, I am that guy who calls you out, right? If you haven't already noticed it, I'm the guy who will call you out on the stuff. Whereas like, well, why aren't you moving on this? And I will bring, now that you're speaking about this, I'm just realizing this is the fact that I can bring emotions out without knowing exactly what the hell I'm doing. Only because I'm calling somebody out on it, and then they will identify with an emotion, and that's where
Mm-hmm.
when I first started coaching, I actually was going to quit the industry or the coaching industry because I saw a
Mm-hmm.
lot of emotions happen when they're on the hot seat, right? Whatever, and they
Mm-hmm.
would get very emotional, upset, defensive, you name it. But the end result was always this: let's hug it out. We are the best friends ever, type of thing, right? And I'm like, maybe I shouldn't be doing this thing, but that's just my style. That's
Mm-hmm.
who I am, and that's what I. And it sounds to me like this is what we're talking about, or maybe like a degree of it, where they
Yes.
don't know the emotion is there, and I don't even know what the emotion is, but I'm calling them out on something else that they should be doing, or they said they were going to do, whatever. And then the real emotion comes in because I don't give up. Like you're telling me the one thing, I'm like, that's not doing it for me, right?
Mm, yeah. Yeah. Try again.
Right? It's like there's only so many people that can handle that kind of stuff, right? They're like, okay, am I on the right
Mm-hmm.
track on this, or am I like in my own
Yep.
world?
No, you're totally in the right track, right? Because a lot of people don't understand how our brain works and how we make decisions, right? So first of all, we have three brains. We have an emotion brain, which is
Mm-hmm.
evolutionary speaking, the oldest thing in the world.
Mm-hmm.
It's fight, flight, freeze. It's fawn, so people pleasing. It's feed, which is addiction. It's our emotionally charged memories. It's all this kind of stuff that doesn't have thought. And
Right.
that's like, if there's one thing, like, you can't think your way out of an emotion.
Right.
Like, it just is. and you need to acknowledge, recognize, name it so your body can process it, because your emotion brain is then wrapped by a thinking brain, which is then wrapped again by a logic brain. They just 1, 2, 3, and they just go a little wrap around to the front of your head. So if you get struck by this big emotion, right, and the 4 big ones are anger, aggression, anxiety, and stress.
Mm-hmm.
And those are the ones that can create what's called the amygdala hijack. And an amygdala hijack, so that's part of your emotion brain, is you get washed with cortisol, adrenaline, on all of these emotions, which, when not put under some sort of a check and balance, will actually remove all brain activity from your thinking and logic brains. You are now running on adrenaline, and then you say things you don't mean, you do things you regret later, right? Or you engage in activities that are either harmful or destructive, whether it's to you or to somebody else or to everyone involved. And so the ability just to start with giving it a name, and of course, I torture my clients. I love them. They love me. They love these emotion wheels. Yeah.
Right.
Oops.
Right.
Down. Here we go. There we go. Now it's right. Feeling wheel, motion wheels.
Yeah.
Anyone that spent a minute in therapy, you probably have 3 copies.
Yeah. It was really astonishing to me that when I did a study on myself on the unique abilities or through Dan Sullivan, that's when I first started. Like, okay, what am I really great at? And then one exercise is to email people who know you, like, friends, family, older clients, newer clients who don't know you, all these kind of different perspectives of you. And it was astonishing to me. It made me emotional to see some of the responses back, but a lot of them were like, you just dig deep. Like you bring the stuff to the surface that we didn't even know was there, or that we knew was there and we're afraid to talk about it, and you just won't let it go. And you talk about the truths. And even though it's hard, we get to the result. And I was ready to give up, Rebecca. I was like, maybe I shouldn't be doing this kind of stuff. But when I realized that was a superpower, like, I'm going to keep doing this, because I can see it sometimes. I can see people pull back and things that they're just not ready for that. They're not ready to deal with their emotions or whatever it is. And I'm like, okay, that's cool. I mean, I'm not going to be a jerk about it, but I'm not going to back down. I'm not that pom-pom waving dude. It's like, look, this is fantastic. You're doing some really great.
You're not? Come on. I am. You know me.
We're not going to wave pom-poms here. Yeah.
No.
So
no happy clappers. No happy clappers.
Let's give some love here as we talk about happy.
love.
Lorna says, your dream clients appreciate what you do in the one-on-one session, even if it takes a couple of days to find the appreciation. Yes. Thank you for that, Lorna. Even if it takes a couple of days, and I get new names, new middle names, and I won't be able to say them here on the live show, what the middle names are. Let's see. Collie says, beliefs, values have to align with where you are in what environment and with your capabilities and skills, and that forms your identity in that environment. And then there is a transmission link, which includes who else? Community, family, universe, love, and soul hugs. Any response on that? Any insight on there, Rebecca?
Actually sounds like it's pretty well done.
I love it. Here's one thing too. When it comes to this, sorry to interrupt. It was when I first met John Assaraf back in 2012 or whatever. He taught this, and he still does, I believe, to this day. Beliefs, values, and habits. Like, that's the main core of his model, right? So beliefs are the very first thing that translates into what are your true values, and then the habits. If you don't have all those in place, you're not going to be moving forward. So I totally get where you're going with this. Your middle one was what? What was the middle one for you? Actions, which is kind of
because I use it for business building. It is similar, but like the purpose of my program is to help people scale and grow their businesses in a profitable and non-soul destroying way. So that's why the middle one is like, what are you going to do?
Right.
And then how do you turn that action into something that you do consistently?
Right. Okay, cool. If you have any questions, by the way, let us know. Put it into chat. We'd love to hear from you, because we got Rebecca for like another 40 minutes or something like that. 45 minutes.
40 minutes.
Take advantage, because she charges like $10,000 a minute. So, I mean, get in here. So
That's me.
I'm going to put a hashtag
There
live.
you
By
go.
the way, hashtag live if you hear live, or hashtag replay. And I want to also invite you to the Facebook group if you're not already in our Facebook group, because we also have continuing conversations in that group. It's amazing, heart-centered humans. We're not in there to pitch you all day long and come on to my webinar. We're going to sell you a whole bunch of stuff because I grabbed you into this container now. No, we don't do that kind of stuff. This is a place of safety. So please, if you are a heart-centered human, that's where you go. Rebecca, now I'll shut up and I'll let you talk. Go ahead.
What, like free reign? Okay, squirrels. We're going to talk about squirrels. No.
What's the first step somebody should do? What if somebody's having trouble with their business? What's the first step?
Well, the first step is to literally ask yourself, how do you feel about where you're at right now and where you're going? Like, what are some complex words you can use? And again, that's when this beautiful little feeling wheel comes out, because we as adults, we're basically relegate ourselves to 3 definitions of how we feel: happy, sad, mad. We can't
Okay.
do that because it's like saying it's the equivalent of saying to yourself as a goal, I want to be rich. Your brain's like, what does that mean? Right? Or I have to be better. And your brain's like, what is it? Like, where do we go with that? So you get no brain activity, right? You're not engaging your brain to actually help you because you're not being specific enough. So if you're like, okay, I have a methodology that I teach. So my model is the beliefs, actions, habits.
Okay.
The methodology, which is called the GOAT path. Again, GOAT is greatest of all time. It's actually a right to left thing. So it starts at your reality. If you don't like where you're at, you have to look at what you're doing. But most often, the answer is not in what you're doing, it's in what you believe, which is
Right.
made up of your thoughts and your feelings. So if you don't like where you are, don't run an ad campaign, blow up your business, start something else, look at what other people are doing and try to replicate it. Take a beat, and go into what am I feeling, and then what thoughts am I feeding into it. So I challenge people all the time when they don't do the work they're supposed to do. And I'm like, okay, go back to that exact moment. You sat down at your desk, your intention was to make a call, but then you made a hard right and you organized your desk or went to get a coffee, and then you ran out of time. In that very instant, when you went from intention to firing off in the other direction, what did you say to yourself? You
Okay.
said something to yourself, and it's fleeting and it's fast and it's instantaneous, because it's habitual, especially if we get habitually into degrading ourselves, like I can't do this. Or if it's a call, I'm going to be bugging them, or they don't want to hear me, or I have nothing to share, or I don't know what to share. In that moment, there was a decision that you made where you degraded yourself, and that degradation causes you to move in the opposite direction because your brain will take you away from perceived pain and threat. So the call now becomes a threat to your Captain Caveman brain, and because it's an emotion thing, you're not going anywhere with it other than out, like out, 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 right? Because it's the equivalent of getting eaten by a saber-toothed tiger. This call that you were supposed to make, because evolutionarily speaking, it just takes us a minute or a million years to kind of catch up and make adjustments to our environment. So no, we don't have the saber-toothed tigers, but we still have perceived threats. That's still how we're wired, and we can react very quickly to those kinds of things.
So what if I don't want to do it?
Like, don't want to do it, like you don't even sit down with any intention of doing it?
Yeah. So because we're talking about money making actions, right? And I
Yes,
go
sir.
into a course or something like this, and I want to make more sales, whatever. I'll just use your example as getting on a call, making more sales. And I'm like, okay, this is what they're telling me to do. I'm not making any sales, so they're telling me I got to get on calls. And then I'm like, okay, tomorrow I'm going to make some calls, right? Put it down. And I guess that's an intent. I don't know if you define that as an intent or not, but I'm like, okay, I'm going to go do that. And then tomorrow morning I wake up, I'm like, I'm not going to go do that. I'm going to organize my desk, or I'm going to watch YouTube videos or whatever.
Right.
So I don't want to do it.
So in that
So
moment, it's a feeling thought thing. There's something in there because you don't feel confident, you don't feel assured, you don't trust yourself to be able to make this calls. You could also make assumptions, right? So this is where your thoughts come in. They don't want to hear me. I'm going to screw this up. I'm going to sound like an idiot. right? And these thoughts go through at like millisecond fast.
Yeah.
That's why it doesn't feel like it's a decision, because our brains don't like dealing with shame.
Right.
And not doing what we're supposed to do brings us shame. And so our brain in equal speed will rationalize that what we're avoiding and going to do instead is an okay thing to do. We are giving the blame off to something and someone else. I can't do it because my desk was a mess and it was distracting me. So it's no longer my fault. Off goes the shame onto my desk, right? And now, see, not my fault. And I can get away with it. And that happens so incredibly fast that we don't even recognize it. So we sit down and writing down the night before, yes, I plan on doing this. That's intent. Sitting down and going, I don't want to do it. That's the right turn. And to avoid shame, our brain will justify what we're doing, because all justifications sound perfectly legitimate.
So,
yeah, my desk was a mess.
So let me step into the guinea pig and let's analyze Joey. So then I remember being going through, my hard, like building the business, and then like, okay, what do I need to do? And I followed things that I believed were what I should be doing. One of them was getting on, clarity calls, brainstorm calls, whatever you want to call them. And then I literally would have objection handling cheat sheets on my monitors here. Like you can see them. I'm pointing at them like you can see them. And so I studied all of that. I went through the whole objection handling course. There's like a billion of them. And it's like, so to the feeling, there was feelings toward doing that thing. But I'm not sure that it was about my inadequacy. It was about how I felt for them. And what I'm putting them through for me to try and get a conversion. I think that's where it led. So let's start there. What's your analysis on that?
Okay. So my analysis on that is, so in the model that I teach, right, so again, the profitable millionaire model, where it's belief, actions, and then habits. Each one is split into 3 or 6 segments. On the belief side, there's how do we feel, how do we think, and what is our compass? What are we doing it for, right? And if you had that momentary feeling about the people that you were working with or what you were putting them through and stuff like that, your compass was kind of pointed a little bit in the wrong direction.
Right.
You wanted to point it in the direction of helpfulness, meaningfulness, joy, and growth, but possibly something in the way you were taught was hard sell, get them to say yes, snag them, and that felt off. It didn't feel like it was part of what was your true self. So part of the belief, trifecta is not only how you feel and what you think, is what are you doing it for? Where's your compass pointing you? And is it pointing you in a direction that aligns with where you want to go, or are you trying to imitate? As soon as you start to imitate and try to do things what other people are doing, or do something you think you're supposed to do, and it's not something that totally jives with who you are, your compass just goes wild and it's going to point in the wrong direction. And that's what actually stops you. So that's the third piece of having your beliefs actually working for you. And you can imagine, because you are clearly pivoted and you're doing it now. Like the work you do now makes you feel aligned. It makes you feel alive, gives you a ton of energy. It's 7:30 at night. Both of us are talking about stuff that we absolutely love and we don't really care. And I just got off another call and it was supposed to be 45 minutes and it wasn't, which is why I was literally running through my house to get here on time. Nearly crashed because that door is glass.
I love you.
You can't see it. See?
And I'm texting her, giving her crap. Hey, what about me? What's going on? Don't you know that the world revolves around me?
I know it does. But just so you know, I nearly murdered myself on a glass door because I'm trying to get here on time, right? And then I had slippy socks, so it was almost like a sheer disaster, right? But it's important to us to be here. You and I will do this work until whenever we're dead, because we can't turn it off because it's our joy, right? Yeah. And what you and I try to help you with, and you and I, our compasses are locked.
Yeah,
I know what I'm doing. I know what I'm doing this for. I am unlocking people's screwed up beliefs so they can finally do the work that they want to do and feel super proud of themselves, turn it into a habit, and then repeat the process, right? Where are you
Yeah.
stuck?
And
Oh, I'm stuck with, whatever.
I really want to point out what you said, because like rewind the clock there for a second. If you're watching this, just rewind what she just said about like, the compass, because that is super, super important. But that begins with being in touch with your emotions. Like, and
Okay.
knowing that they're there. Like you have to have that. And so many people are in their head. It's like they like you said, they either push the emotions down, they feel and like, screw you, I'll deal with you later, or they don't even know it. They're not even in tune with it. Thankfully, I've always been that person that has been in tune with my emotions, and I showcase them. Like I wear my heart on my sleeve, good and bad. I'm like, you know what? So like I let things go. Like if I'm in a bad mood, you know it. You're gonna hear it, right? Like so, and that sometimes gets me into trouble, but I'm very thankful for being that way. And that was another part of the compass, because I remember being around in that environment where the guy can't do that. What are you talking about? You cannot show your emotions. Like, you got to stand up and be the guy. Like, what are you talking about? And then I remember, again, that compass was off, and I started sharing things like, you know what? Like crazy things, like personal things, like, you know what? I actually love watching Hallmark movies. And when I do watch them, most of the time, it's 5 out of 10 of them, I'm crying at the end, like something that normal guys would not be like putting on, it's like, and then it was more of a like, no, this is who I truly am, which is the truth, by the way. It's not a marketing gimmick. And it's like, this is who I truly am. And if you think that that's whatever you think about that, and it doesn't align with you, I'm repelling you. I don't want you in my life, because I don't want to have to be somebody I'm not. I don't know why I went down that
Right.
rabbit hole, but anyway, right? So I think
No,
the
because
whole point
we're
is
talking about being real, right?
emotions.
It's
Yeah.
our compass being part
Yep.
of our, or the emotions being. And again, when you look at the trifecta, it's not compass first, then feelings, then thoughts. It is, you have to start with how you feel, and I don't care how uncomfortable it makes you feel. There's frequently on my calls, people, they're breaking down and they're crying
Yeah.
because it's hard,
It
right?
is.
Because it's supposed to be hard. And it doesn't matter if you're a man or a woman, and everybody cries, and because it brings up some other big things, because I'm creating, and you do the same thing, I'm sure you create a safe space for that. You
That's right.
welcome the emotion in, you just say, and based on like how I grew up, there's so much reprogramming that had to happen. And a lot of the anger that we have, and I say we because me and my siblings, it's sometimes really hard to deal with,
Mm-hmm.
and, my parents dropped this bombshell. Well, that's not a bombshell. I dropped the first bombshell that they should leave the church because it's basically a pedophile ring. And then they decide, late summer, this is what we're going to do. And it has been fascinating to watch the reactions between me and my siblings. So I've been doing a buttload of reprogramming specifically for the past 4 years, but more. A lot of my siblings haven't. Like, they've touched on it a little bit. But the one sort of prevailing thing, which has been an interesting thing when, my parents say they're like out, the anger that we've been tricked, that's well and good that, you're out, but can I just tell you what my childhood was like? Can I tell
Mm.
you all the things that I didn't get to do?
Mm.
Because, and like, right now,
Mm-hmm.
I am fortunate because I have married up, I've got my upgrade husband, and I am reclaiming my youth. I am doing all the things I wanted to do that I
Yeah.
couldn't do when I was younger, and I have a partner who wants to do it, and he's a beautiful, amazing human being, like the absolute best,
I love
right?
that.
If people don't get that chance, right? And I'm not going to, judge my siblings, and they're all on their own road. So I'll just speak for me,
Sure.
you know. But what if one of us doesn't? Like, what if that? And I'll just use like anybody, drop anybody into, from oppressive situation into non-oppressive situation, and you're looking back on that with incredible anger, like, because things are taken away from you,
Right.
right? Experiences, opportunities, and that kind of a thing. So all this to say, especially when there's trauma, and especially big T trauma. So there's big T and little T traumas. And doesn't matter which one, they're all valid, especially if the little T's add up and add up and add up and add up, it
Right.
becomes a big T. If you don't learn how to process that, not only do you risk massive outbursts, like nearly destroyed his life outbursts, you ruin your physical self. Like you will get, gastrointestinal and autoimmune diseases and all this other kind of stuff. And there's a great book called The Body Keeps the Score, which details exactly how suppressed and stuffed emotions actually turn into physical sickness.
Yeah, like as you're talking about this, I've never realized this before because, when it comes to general sickness, like colds, flus, that kind of thing, I am rarely there. Rarely there. Like I go
Me too.
stretches of 7 to 10 years without having a cold or a flu or anything like that. I'm like, why is that? And even when people were sick around me, coming in with flus, I still would be resilient to them or whatever, repel them. And maybe this has something to do with it. The fact that
Yep.
all the way through my life, I've just released everything. Like, how Joey feels. You know what I'm saying? And like I said, sometimes in a social situation or maybe even a business situation or whatever, it wasn't the best thing to be in that moment or that emotion. But it's like, I don't really give a shit. This is it. This is how it's going to, this is it. And so it's not that I don't have stress, but I don't have a level of like, oh my God, like every single day is like, like if I do have a stressful moment, if I want to put a label on it, it happens very, very quickly. And it decreases just as fast.
It comes down again.
It just
Yeah, because
just as fast.
because you've taught yourself, absolutely, because you've taught yourself, I can handle this. So there's stress we can control and stress that we can't. And a lot of people try to take stress or situations they cannot control and control them, which creates massive stress because you can't. You can't control what people think, feel, do, react, act, blah, 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 nothing. You can't change the market. You can't change the economy. You can vote, right? And you can contribute. But in the grand scheme of things, there's a lot outside of your control.
Right.
That people create the stress for them. And there's, another thing people often do is take offense. And that language is so important. I am going to you and I'm going to take offense. I am going to physically go and I'm going to make myself upset. Take offense, right?
That's a really great
taught yourself
example.
Not to. It's an example. It's one that I always come to because when people get all miffed and pissed off about whatever, and I'm like, okay, what did you take offense to? What have you brought into intentionally brought into your life and said, I'm going to be bugged about this, right? And if you already in a habit of being angry and acting and reacting, like think of road rage, right?
Yeah.
Think of, people who just like lose their nut at someone when it feels really out of character, right? So, like your kid does something, he drops a little toy car on the floor and you freak out and you're yelling at him and you're like, woo, right? I mean, there's a reason I don't drink scotch anymore because that happens anyway. So I like scotch, but scotch doesn't like my brain.
Yeah. And I remember that too, is because even when I was at my dad's company, when I took that over and it was not aligned with me and I came home every single day and I would be doing all that stuff. I would be yelling at my wife, yelling at my kid for something dumb because of all the emotions built up during the day that I was maybe not handling the best way, or maybe I was. That was my release. I would still release it, but I mean, not in the best form of it. But yeah, this is a very interesting conversation. I want to pause for a second and then go to the shooting gallery here for a second. So Lorna says, what is the most common belief that entrepreneurs don't believe a book itself? Let me read that again.
About themselves. Belief that entrepreneurs don't believe about themselves.
Oh, okay. They're cool. Hopefully that was it.
I think that's what it is. So what is the most common belief that entrepreneurs don't believe about themselves? Okay, so what is it? What is a thought? Maybe again, I'm going to try to make sure I answer this question properly. Whew, that's a big one. The one that comes to mind is they don't trust themselves to do the work.
Right.
So people who talk to me about my coaching program will say, I can't afford it. That is not the reason they are backing out. They are backing out because they don't believe that they will do the work, and they believe that if they don't do the work, they're not going to get the result. So it's not that they don't believe that the result cannot happen. They just don't believe that they have the wherewithal to actually make it happen. And so they create these, again, legitimate excuses. I
Yeah.
don't have time, I can't afford it, just baloney. If you really think that something's going to work for you, you find a way. 8 years ago, bless my upgrade husband, bless him so much.
Is that husband
I needed
2.0 or
to
3.0? Like which?
2.0, 2.0. I'm 3.0 wife. He's 2.0 husband. We
Okay,
just go
cool.
multiples. Anyway, yes. So I'm like the upgrade of the upgrade. Anyway, so but I met this coach. I needed to learn webinars. She was in Ireland. It was a $40,000 program, and I didn't have the money. My business was not thriving, but I knew that if I could learn this process and be in the program for a year to execute it and get her help, that I would be able to go ahead and do it. So I put it on my mortgage. Now, I don't ever encourage people to come and coach with me, put it on the mortgage. That's a terrible idea. I have payment plans, but I'm not going to fund it. Like, these coaches, they'll have like financing, like actual like loan products. I'm like, nope, not me.
Okay, so hold it right there for a second, because I want to challenge you for a second. Okay. So now I want to hear what you just said. You said, I'm going to go to this place. I know that this is going to work for me. And then you did whatever you had to do it. Did you know it? Mm-hmm. Or did you believe it?
I had done enough research to ask the right questions to get the answers that aligned with my vision, which included a belief that I can do it. So I have a very, very firm belief that I can do things, which is why I don't get stuck very often.
That's what I was trying to get to align with Lorna's question, and to the fact that you knew you did your research and everything, and you basically said, correct me if I'm wrong, this is what my perception of it is that, Rebecca said, I believe in myself so much that if I take this program and do what she says, I know it's going to work for me.
Mm-hmm. That's right.
Right? But it started with belief in you, belief in her, belief in all the stuff.
Myself.
Exactly. That you were going to do the work and all that. So,
right. Okay. And that's why people don't put that, like, because it was a risk to go and take that $40,000 and put it on the house. I didn't even, in that case, you think, you're with a partner, maybe you should like chat it out. No, he came home from work and I'm like, hey, we're $40,000 poorer. Yay!
Right.
And he was like, you go, sweetheart, you got this. And I made millions out of that 40,000 because I applied it, and then a year.
But you didn't know. But you didn't know that, right? Like, but you didn't know you were going to make millions. You just knew that. You just knew and believed that it was. You believed and knew it was going to work in some capacity or form. And again, correct me if I'm wrong, but you didn't know you were going to make $40 million from it.
No.
You just said it's going to make me money. It's going to increase my business. Mm-hmm. Correct.
But if I am consistent, so again, there's the trust of, cut the BS, make sure that I just engaged with Taki Moore and his black belt program, right? Because I've got a one-on-one program, I need to blend into a hybrid to scale, and there's a whole bunch of other reasons, right? I heard him in October. I'd never heard of this guy before in my life, right? But I had been screwing around all year trying to figure out, what do I need to do? I need to scale, but people hire me for me, which makes it infinitely unscalable. So what am I going to do? So I started doing research. I read books. I listen to people. I'm trying to figure out like what feels good. And I'm trying to keep my feelings and my thoughts aligned with be open. There's a solution out there, don't go closed and don't say that it's not there. You have to tell your brain that it's out there. My compass was aligned. I knew exactly what I wanted. I just didn't know how to do it, and I didn't know who would help me. And I knew I didn't have the answer. Right? Same with webinars 7-8 years ago. So when I heard Taki, at his presentation, I'm like, oh, that's kind of cool. And then I wanted to test him further. So then we had a breakout at the mastermind part. So then I went and I sat as close to him as I possibly could, which was obnoxiously close. It's like this close. I'm like, hey, Taki, how you doing? Right? I don't care if there was like 50 other people, and I'm like, you, me, we're doing this. Anyway, and so I got to listen to him again, and he made sense. I'm like, I like people that make sense. And then I talked to him afterwards, and he was a good human. Not one of these people that talks like over your head, actually looks in your eyeballs. And I'm like, okay, we have good human business. And so I said, how do I follow up? Say that I like tacos in Instagram. Great. Followed him, told him I like tacos, told him what kind of tacos I like, get into a call with his team. And it sounds pretty good. But I'm like, okay, if I sign up now, because there was a 3-day client event I could go to for one day. And they
Yeah.
said, if you sign up now, you can go for all 3. And I'm like, perfect. Because now I get to test the scribe even further. Right. So I go in for the 3 days and it's awesome. And I'm like, okay, this is it. But my onboarding wasn't for like another 3 weeks. I started yesterday. But in the 3 weeks from the time I went to that 3-day intensive, I learned a whole bunch of stuff, got they have some like video onboarding kind of a thing. Between then and now, I created that belief action habits model. I
Nice.
have already started selling this program. It's not even done, and I'm selling it. I'm like, I just believe in it. I believe in what it's doing.
Yeah,
Compass
I
aligned,
hear you.
thoughts aligned, beliefs aligned, right? So everything I'm just not scared of pre-selling this thing and getting people excited, because I'm excited, and this thing is going to be amazing, and it's going to be the most over delivery of awesomeness I could possibly come up with, and that makes me feel awesome, right? So again, align, align, align.
Yeah.
And then away you go. But again, so it's not that I just willingly, because I invested probably this past year probably about $70,000 in different coaching programs, networking things, and all that kind of a thing. Of which,
Yeah.
honestly, okay, well, none of it's really kind of done a good job so far, right? So when I look back and I'm like, well, I had a $28,000 investment that I'm like, they wouldn't give me my money back. So there's this rigmarole. But I've turned it into basically my own personal coaching program and gotten my money's worth from it. But sometimes we have to try a few things
Yeah.
before we find the thing.
Yeah. And
So
like
I
what you
know that
described
there's
is
going to be things that work.
yeah, and like that's the model that I've been doing now for 4 years. I don't know if you know that, but like I've started in 2019 was when I shut down the old Joey. In 2020,
Mhm.
I started pre-selling Atlas, and that was it. It was like, here's the idea. I literally sold it from a Google Doc. I still have the same Google Doc. It hasn't changed in 4 years. It's in its 14th iteration of it. And it
Mhm.
started at like, hey, it's $1,000 right now. It's going to be $3,500 at the end, and then boom, I just up leveled like that. But it was all sold from an idea in my head, and that was it. And I just keep iterating over and over again, and that's the actual model that I teach everybody else to do, because I believe that there are 4 components into a very successful business besides resilience and all that other stuff that we're talking about. But I believe there's 4
Mhm.
things. Then the 4 things are this: it is knowledge in the thing that you're doing, it's expertise in
Mhm.
that. However, those 2 are commodities, because you and I both know that anybody could read. You can go to ChatGPT. You can go to Mr. Google and say, "Hey," and you become knowledgeable and the expert, because if that's the only thing you're listening to, and that you could become an expert and actually do a presentation on it. But the other 2 are the most important things, and all of these are combined. So you need to have knowledge, expertise and experience in the thing
Mhm.
that you're doing,
Mhm.
and insight on how to help someone else do the thing. Those are the 4
Mhm.
components that you need in order for me, at least, to be able to teach somebody or to guide somebody, right?
Yep.
So I knew that I had all of that. I knew I had all of it, but I did not have what are the things that I need to teach? What's the components? What's the modules, or what does all that stuff look like? And this is where everybody gets
Mhm.
tripped up. At least in my world, they get tripped up. And I don't know if
Oh
you've
yeah.
ever seen my reverse model of the how to build a business. Did I ever tell you that
Mhm.
it begins? Most people begin with like a product. They're like, I'm going to sell this product. Here's the thing. And then they go, here's what, and it's going to be a coaching model, or it's going to be a group thing. It's going to be a membership, whatever. And then they try to find clients. So they go product, business model, finding clients. And then they're like, oh yeah, I kind of want to have some life balance in there too. So I want to have a little more freedom. And so they're lost,
Mhm.
right? And
Mhm.
and they and it gets all messed up. So I reversed it and said, no, 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 this is about me first. How do I do this?
Mhm.
How do I make life? What's my life look like? That I want to, how many hours do I want to work per week? Who do I want to work with? All that kind of stuff. Like, what does it look like for
Mhm.
me? Do I want to sleep until 10 o'clock every morning? Yes, I do. I don't want to have to be, right? All that stuff is about me first. And then it's about who are the people that I want. The clients
Mhm.
matter. The clients are a piece of my life. They're not just clients. They're a piece of my life. That's my firm
Mhm.
belief, that friends,
Mhm.
people are clients, or clients are friends. And there's that fine line. If you get that right, it's simple because then you love talking to those people. Let's just say that those two components, all you did for, I don't care, however long you want to talk, whether it's 3 years or 3 weeks or 3 months or 3 years, you're having conversations because you love the people. They're awesome people, right? They go to
Mm-hmm.
a restaurant, hang out, and just want to talk about stuff, right? And then and then the product or the problem emerges from those conversations. It's like, wait a minute, we
Mm-hmm.
keep on talking about the same dang thing, and I'm really great at this. Hey guys, I think I've got the solution, and that's how I started out. This, it was like, I think I know what the problem is because I've already been through this. Would you pay me $1,000 and I'll walk you through my dang thing, and if it doesn't work, I'll give you every single penny back? And they're like, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But it doesn't work on cold audiences. We're not talking like get cold
No.
audiences here and all this. It's like these are people who
No.
you're close, who they know you love and trust them, and they love and trust
Mm-hmm.
you. And you're like, just can you help me out with this? You tell me what's happening
Mm-hmm.
here and help me build this thing out. And that's how I started Atlas. That's where it is right
Mm-hmm.
now. It's the
Mm-hmm.
whole simple thing that Taki's doing, and I didn't. He's been doing it for many many years. I learned a lot from him, and even
Mm-hmm.
the chat, selling over chat and everything else. Like that's where it was. Like my alignment was off because I was taught from something else. Get on the calls. Here's how you transition from the brainstorm into the sale, and then if they don't do this, here's how you get out of them. Like, oh my god. And then now I have very few clarity calls at all, and I'm selling a
Mm-hmm.
$3,500 program through a chat or maybe through an email. How does that
Yeah.
happen? Because it's all aligned,
Mm-hmm.
right? It's what I believe. I go, this is the easier way for me to do this. And it's more aligned with these people because I don't know about you, Rebecca, but my clients do not want to be pushed ever. Like
No, they don't.
they hate pressure. Even if
Mm.
I use the old excuse that I tried to train my brain to believing, which was you're doing a disservice to them if you don't push them into doing this. Now there's a balance there because there is a
Mm-hmm.
point where you're like, you need to get off your butt and you need to do this thing now, right? But it's
Yep.
how you do it. But I was trying the other way.
Yep.
Is like, no, every single conversation has to turn into I'm doing a disservice to Rebecca if she doesn't buy this thing. So let me look over here. What's the objection number 42? Okay, there it is. Look, what are your thoughts
Yeah.
on all that? I rambled on for a little bit there.
No, I mean, it's all really, really good stuff. Objections are just questions people have, right? That we just kick up a notch and somehow take it as an obstacle. And the way that I've looked at this is the way, super aligns. Alex Hormozy, I don't know if I've been like jonesing on this guy lately.
Yeah,
Um, you know, Create an offer so good people feel stupid saying no.
that's right.
Well, that's fun, right? And so, like, one of his processes is super simple: write down all the problems people have, problems, objections, questions, all that kind of a thing, and create a solution for every single one of them.
Yeah,
So there's literally nothing someone can say that you were like, oh yeah, well, we solve it this way. Oh no, we solve that this way, and then we solve it this way, and then we solve it this way. Oh, that's 5. I got like 25 more, so keep coming. Do you want to guess what the questions are that people have? Like, and here's the rest of the solutions that you didn't even think you needed, but I know you needed because somewhere in there you had these questions. So
right.
here you go.
Are you familiar with the Dean Jackson filter? I think Dean and Joe Polish, I think they both come up with it, but I use this filter all the time. It's one of the things I teach my clients, which is what would you do? What would you create? Who would you create it for? And what would it be like? And the only time you get paid is on the result of that thing. You ever heard
Mm-hmm.
that? It's like, what
No,
would you
I haven't.
create? What would you create? Who is it for? And what does it look like? And how is it delivered? And the only time you get paid is based on the result of that thing. And
Mm-hmm.
so I use that as a filter all the time. I'm not saying do it because it's sometimes it's very hard, but it's like when I'm challenging people on their niche or their dream clients, like 'cause that's where I really focus on who is the person you want in your life, because a lot of them get it's an ideal client. I'm saying that's you're describing an ideal client. That's cool, but that's not the level I'm talking about. I'm going a level deeper here, right? So, but as a matter, but when I did Atlas, to your point of the objections and all these other things, that is exactly what I did. I said,
Yep.
here's my idea. I'm going to walk you through my entire system. And at the end
Mm-hmm.
of it, you pay me whether you believe it works or you think it's going to work, or whether if I wasted your time, you don't owe me a dang thing. And
Hmm. Hmm.
it was scary as heck, Rebecca, scary
Of
as
course.
heck. And here's the
Yeah.
thing. I had 20 people sign up. Two of them did not move to because I went from like, here's the training and then I'm going to help you implement. Two of them did
Hmm.
not move over. I already knew who the two were. One was somebody who said, and this is the brilliance of having your tribe, because we're on it. I love going on these tangents, by the way. This is not off topic. These are amazing conversations. For me, the tribe is so important. And because I had a tribe who trusted me, who wanted to help me, and me help them, obviously. One person emailed me and said, I want to do this, but I don't want to take advantage of you because I'm really not sure this is for me. And I'm like, dude, it's all good. I think it'll work. Whether it does work or not, or whether you like it or not, it's all good. Please come. So I already knew that person
Hmm.
was I'm really not sure. Okay. Then the
Hmm.
other
Hmm.
person who didn't move over was someone who had a business partner that she had to translate everything because the business partner wasn't coming to the thing. So she would
No, yeah,
attend,
I won't.
right? Which is like the worst situation ever. And then she's got to translate to the
Hmm.
other person to convince her that it's good so that she didn't move over. And I already knew that too. So in my mind, I
Yeah,
had 100% right conversion rate that moved over.
that's
All,
amazing.
yeah, all because I said, I'm gonna step out of this and I'm gonna put all the risk. The only thing you're going to waste would be an hour of your time or a couple of hours, like it was back then, because we did it over 4 weeks of your time every
Hmm.
single week. So that's one of the biggest filters I use to this day. What would I
Hmm.
create
Yeah.
and give if I
Hmm.
only got paid on the result?
Hmm. Well, one of the interesting things that, again, this is from that Hormozy guy who super bro marketing, but really great ideas. Um, Guarantees, right? And he's got all
Right,
these different kinds of guarantees that you can have, and it's really hard as a coach to guarantee anything other than, like I can guarantee that if you follow this methodology, you will move ahead.
right,
So there's two guarantees that I offer, and I completely ripped them off, Taki. So appreciate it. If you attend the kickoff and you hate it, go and I'll give you your money back.
right.
And then there's a 60-day try it out and see if you like it. And if at the end, and it's a graduated pricing, so it's not the full pricing, right? It's sort of like, about 60% and then about 80%. You only go to full pricing if you believe in those 60 days, you have made significant improvements in your business. So it
Ah,
really pushes, it front loads results and support and velocity and and speed to creating what people want for themselves, which is what people need. Like psychologically, that's important. And then the rest of the program is designed to continue to move people forward in those increments, right? So
do you
it's
so
kind of a guarantee, but but not as risky as like all your money back kind of thing.
do you so okay, so in the first half, what happens if they don't qualify or they don't think it's going to work? What happens? Do they get their money back from
So
that?
they had okay. So if they don't like the kickoff, they can get their money back because it's
That okay,
one group
forget the
call.
kickoff.
No
It's the
harm, no
more of
foul.
the program, the half of the
So the way that the program works is that I'm designing. Month one is 950. Month two is 1250. Full price is 1700 a month.
okay.
Okay, so that's how it goes. So
Okay.
month one, you only pay 950. But once you've made it past the kickoff, the idea is that you're implementing, right? So
Okay.
my team is with you. You have all the training. We point you in the right directions. We create this plan, and we're setting you off, and we're making sure that you get going. The
Mhm.
next
Mhm.
30 days is at 1250 because you should be advancing. Now you should be like launching. You should be making new money, right? All this kind of a thing. So at the end of the 60 days, we then have a call to be like, so love it or leave it. Which way are you going to go? If they leave it, they don't get their money back, but they don't keep going, right?
Right.
They
Okay.
just
Okay.
like
I got it.
you can
Okay.
get out. You're not locked in.
Oh,
If
okay.
they
Okay. Okay.
decide to keep going, you lock in for 12 months.
Got it.
And then
Okay.
after the 12 months, you go month to month. Right.
Got
So it's
it.
not like 12 months. You're always locked into
Yeah, you
blocks of
gotta
12. You
commit to
just
another
lock in
12
for the
months after the
first. You
first.
got to
Yeah.
commit, right? But
Yeah.
after that, you stay because it's freaking amazing.
Right. Because you're getting
So
them the
I want to
result.
have, exactly, I want to have a client life cycle of 8 years,
Nice.
not 8 months. which is standard for any kind of a group program. The average life cycle, like Brendan Burchard, I know his average life cycle is 8 months, and then people peace out. They don't continue.
Yeah, it's like
Right?
I got to look more in the data in this because like my guarantee I think is one of the best ever because first of all, I know what the biggest problems they have and objections and all that stuff. I can tell you right now, Rebecca, that no matter what, they come into my world and they distrust coaches. They have been screwed over and all that, so they
Yes.
distrust coaches. No
Amen.
matter how
Mm-hmm.
different that I have already proven to them, even when they
Mm-hmm.
buy Atlas, okay? And I've recently found this out because people have actually told me this, but I've also done the data and the research. I'm like, that's interesting. But they don't even trust me when they buy Atlas. They're maybe 65, 75%. I kind of trust Joey, but I'm really not sure about him yet. Okay. Now, my
Mm-hmm.
guarantee is this: you can come in and I will, because the program is basically 3 months, right? You can come in and again, I will teach you the entire thing at the end of 90 days. If you still believe that it does, I will pay you back every single penny. So they can learn my entire
Mm-hmm.
system. And I even spell this out in the sales letter. I give them the screw me thing. Like, here's how you can actually do this and get everything for free, right?
Mm-hmm.
Hasn't happened yet, but it's because
Mm-hmm.
I know that they're like, yeah, sure, show me something that's going to work, right? Okay, that's number one. So I give them back their money if they don't, if they believe that it's not going to work. Not only that, but
Mm-hmm.
after that 90 days, they are allowed to come back to all of the live cohorts until they get 5 times their money back. That's my guarantee. I can't tell them, I guarantee you're going to make 5 times your investment back, right?
Mm-hmm.
However, that's my goal. And the first
Right.
goal, the first milestone is let's get you your money back 100%. Let me give you
Mm-hmm.
back $3,500 at least, okay?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And they're happy because now they're in for free. And like you can continue
Mm-hmm.
to come back. So I support them. And this is going back to Hormozy. Is like, okay, what's the offer that is so crazy that they cannot say no to this? The only
Mm-hmm.
thing I can't give them back, and you and I both know this, and everybody listening to this,
Mm-hmm.
is their time. Like there's nothing in
Right.
the world that I can't share to say, well, yes, you have to invest in a little bit of your time. And if it didn't work, well, at least you got your money back. But if I can't give you back your time. That's the only thing that
Mm-hmm.
I can't figure out how to give somebody back. If you can figure that out with me, help me. But
Yeah.
this is
No,
coming
because
back
you
to
know
yeah.
what? This is where I really try to get that trust yourself mindset when people are like right at the beginning. Like you have to trust that you're going to do this, right? Because if you don't, then the rest of it's going to be stupid. I could give you the most amazing process in the world, you know, but if you don't believe you can do it, or you
Well,
don't
this is
believe
where
that you're
curation comes in
taking the
though too,
destiny.
Rebecca.
Mm-hmm.
Right? That's kind of that conversation. Right?
Mm-hmm.
So here's another thing. And I know we have to go soon, but like um, one of the other things that I started doing is to that mindset is like I tell people now, which is crazy, but I tell people, give me $3,500 and you're not going to make any money by the end of the first program, the first 12 weeks. You're probably not going to make any money. And here's why. And then I tell them why. Because you got to unlearn this, you got to do this,
Mm-hmm.
you got to do this, you got to do this. And I set them up for failure, if you want to call it that. Because I
Mm-hmm.
know that I know exactly who my clients are and what they're going through and what they need. And I know when the breakthroughs are going to happen. And so rather than me not telling them all this stuff up front, it sets them up for expectations. Now, there are people who do, like people who go through and they crush it and they do all that kind of stuff. But most of them, 80% of them will go through. And by week 8, they'll be like, or week 6 to 8, they'll be like, wow, you were absolutely right. There is so much I have to unlearn. I've been brainwashed. I should go back to
Yeah.
week number 1 and start doing the work. Thank you,
Mm-hmm.
Rebecca. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll see you in the
Mm-hmm.
next cohort, right? Yes, I'll be there, right? Always happens. But I wouldn't be able to do that unless, first of all, I've been doing them for so long. And secondly, by being totally upfront with people. Because again, I don't like pressure. I don't like putting something in front of people and not telling them something when I know that that's what's going to happen. Or try to convert
Mm-hmm.
them or try to pressure them. And I'm not saying that's what you're doing. I'm just saying anything like that is like, here's the truth. I learned that from the first time I started selling way back in when I was like 19 years old. When people would come in
Mm-hmm.
and try and buy music from me, I'm like, I don't have that. that tune. Instead of me saying, but I got all these other ones that are kind of like that record or like that song, I go, no, here, go down to Star Sound. Here's where you can get it and everything else. And guess what 85% of those people did? What do
Came
you have
back.
here that you think I would like?
Yeah.
I've got
Yeah,
this,
for
I've got
sure.
this. Because I told them the truth. And
Mm-hmm.
that comes from the godfather of influence, Cialdini, damaging admissions,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
This is what sucks about
Yeah.
this, but this is what's really great. So if you tell them up
Mm-hmm.
front and it's the truth, they're like, well, if they're telling me this, then maybe they got something here.
Yeah, exactly. And honesty is always the best policy. Always. Honesty, upfront, expectations. There cannot be disappointments if you're clear with your expectations, right?
100%.
Yeah. So, yeah, you and I are so aligned. Like, our brains probably just like talk to each other like telepathically when we're sleeping or something like that. And we're just like high fiving each other and the telepathy, whatever, planes.
I love this.
Yeah.
We'll have another discussion soon. I know that you are. When are
Yep.
you back? You're back in January or February?
Well, I'm gone Saturday and back next Saturday. And then I'm leaving January 7th I take my mastermind cohort somewhere really cool. So we're going to a house I rented in Dominican on this really cool beach club
Nice.
from the 7th to the 12th. And then I'm back. And then I'm kind of hither and
I think
yon.
we
There's a
booked
trip to
in one day. I can't
Vegas.
remember when you're back, but we've
We
already
did
booked it in. I can't remember when
the
it is, but
19th or something like that. Yeah. We're in it.
awesome.
I got you. Yep. I'll have
I just want to
movies
make
to
sure that
share with you when we come back in January.
so cool. I love it. Amazing. Thank you for being here, Rebecca. You are awesome as
Thank
always. I love
you.
you. You know that. And I can't wait to have another conversation with you. I know that everybody loved this conversation. What are your parting thoughts as we part this week?
You cannot be successful without managing your emotional resilience. And this whole conversation started there. We've touched on it in so many different ways. If we always can stay in control of our emotions, so it's not to deny emotion, it is to accept, acknowledge, appreciate, welcome all of the feelings, see them for what they are, and then learn how to process them so that they're not staying and being retained by you. You will have ultimate clarity. You will have ultimate focus. Your compass will point in the right direction. Your actions will be pure. That you'll get what you actually want, and it'll be easy. And we wonder where the hard in life comes from. It's because we make it hard by putting all these obstacles in our way. And the first one that we start with is our emotional resistance. Break that resistance, and like a deck of cards, all of the other things that we resist fall away. And the opportunities and that life and the relationships and the love and the success we want, it's always been right in front of us. We just haven't seen it.
I love
And
that.
the way you start is to break down and understand and appreciate and work on emotional resilience. 100%.
You are amazing, and this is a person you got to listen to. If you were here live or
You're
the
amazing.
replay, hashtag replay, go back and watch this. If you're just joining us now, Rebecca's the person you got to listen to. She knows. She's been through it. Resilience is her game, which a lot more stuff. And we'll see you soon, Rebecca. Amazing to see you here. Thank
Thanks,
you
Joey.
again
Thanks for
for
having me on. Appreciate you.
you
Appreciate
bet.
everybody.
Bye, everyone.